Hey, good evening. I'd like to call to order the February 18th City Council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, bless us all. Give the City Council the wisdom to make the correct decisions on behalf of the people of Avalon. Bless those members of the community that are receiving treatment for their illnesses. And God bless Maria Hernandez Soto. Her rosary will be Thursday at 6 p.m. at St. Catherine's, noon on Friday for the Mass, and graveside following, and there will be a celebration of life at the end. God bless our men and women in the armed services. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Ralph. Roll call, Denise.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Here.
Councilmember Morrow.
Here.
Councilmember Olson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ponce.
Here.
And Mayor Kennedy.
Here.
This governing body will be holding multiple meetings this evening and will not receive any extra compensation.
She upstaged you again, Mr.
I
Campbell.
know. I lost my bet.
Okay. A couple of quick announcements. I'd like to give a shout out to our sewer treatment operator and to our Public Works Department that this weekend, at an odd hour of the evening, were called out to a sewage spill at Hamilton Cove, and they responded. All the agencies and entities worked very well together. It's nice to see that teamwork and effort, and the repairs to that collection system are well underway. Although privately owned, the city has been sharing some of its expertise with the property owners out there to get them well under mend. Dennis Jage has kind of been overseeing some of that process, so thank you too, Dennis. Do you have any other announcements, Ben?
I don't, Mayor.
Council, any announcements?
Yeah, I got one quick one for the Sheriff's Department, and MVP Baseball are coming over this weekend to do a clinic at the high school field from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. 17-year-olds and 9 years old to 17-year-olds are welcome, and we're going to have provide lunch when the festivities are over, and anybody's welcome. So this Saturday, the 22nd of February.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rich. Anything, Michael?
Nope.
Bully?
Nope.
Ralph?
I'm good.
Okay. We don't have any presentations set on this agenda. Is that accurate? Or are we going to have a presentation with the Sheriff's Department?
That's under general business, Mayor.
In the general business item, okay.
Yes.
So then why don't I move to oral communications? Anyone in the audience care to address the council for any item that is not currently on our agenda? We now come forward. Hold on one second, Kathleen. We got somebody we're going to introduce real quick. Come on up.
Where would you like me to?
Right there at the podium would be great. There's a mic. You can speak into the mic and introduce yourself to the community.
Good evening. My name is Steve Batty, and I'm here representing Avalon Environmental Services.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Just wanted to be able to put a face.
Okay, now we can put a face to the name.
Right.
Excellent. Welcome. Kathleen. Kathleen would like to give the community an update on the Aquatic Center.
Kathleen Hill, Carlisle, 311 East Whitley. And in order to be concise and brief, I'm just going to read from something I prepared, a lot easier. So I'm here as the president of the Avalon Booster Club. Ideally, we'd like to come here at another time when we can be on the agenda and fully cover the subject of the construction of the Aquatic Center for our community, and I'm sure we can work together and plan to do just that in the future. However, at this time, with my mother's recent passing, and with elections coming up, there have been a lot of questions about where our project stands. So I'd like to just take a few minutes to clear up some misconceptions and some misinformation, and just let the people of Avalon know what we know. So if anyone watching is unfamiliar with the Booster Club, we've been in existence for about 40 years and continue to be a viable entity working on two main fronts. First, we provide support to Avalon schools, all grade levels, all athletics, arts, and academic programs, from funding sound equipment to the gym, play structures for the playground, uniforms for teams, the library's canine dog program, and graduation scholarships for scholar athletes. We've done it all over the years. Second, we are the driving force behind a project to build an aquatic center that will serve the community with competitive swimming for the schools, community swim and exercise programs for youth, adults, and seniors, splash play fun for one and all, and aquatherapy. We have a fantastic plan put together that will serve all these needs and be self-sustaining. And although we have not been in the public eye for many years, since the loss of the designated spot for the site at the school, we had to stop our fundraising efforts, so a lot of people not seeing us fundraising think we've kind of gone away. But we've been working behind the scenes, lobbying for a new site big enough to serve all these functions and be something that we can draw tourism to as public aquatic competitions. This will drive revenues to our town. We is myself, our treasurer, Tina Kennedy, who's here tonight, our construction advisor, Pete Edwards, who couldn't be here, longtime Booster Club members, Charlie and Claudia Canby, and our newest and most knowledgeable board member for everything pool-related, Dr. Allison Ozinski, who's here tonight. She's an aquatic consultant who has helped numerous communities build far more complex facilities than we are planning. So that everyone is absolutely clear, we are still here, we are still working on the project, and the money raised is still in the bank, contrary to whoever keeps claiming that I personally told them it was all gone. We had never gotten to the point where we had all the funds necessary to build the project, but we do have solid about $630,000 in the bank, in the pool fund. Given today's construction costs, we obviously do not have enough money to build the facility, but we are very confident that the monies can be raised once we have a designated site for the aquatic center. But we cannot go out and seek funds until we do, which brings me to today's update. We worked for a few years with the Island Company, pouring forth reasons why a certain location for the aquatic center would be the key to its success. We don't need to go into all those arguments now. In the end, the Island Company agreed, and in June of last year, their board voted to designate the Field of Dreams for an aquatic center with enough room for a community center too. For the Booster Club board, this was huge. I can't tell you how many years we heard that this or that land might be needed for this or that use, and they couldn't set anything aside. And now they have. But as you as the council know, the key to that eventual deed or lease of the land for the aquatic center is tied to a very complex development agreement, which includes 120 home sites, new buildings and pool at the country club site, and the changes for the golf course, on and on and on, their whole development plan. At this time, we met with Ben, your city manager, and he informed us that the city has met with the Island Company and that the city has given the Island Company a list of maybe 100 issues or more that need to be addressed, from traffic to environmental studies, etc. It's a long and complex list, and we understand this. The Island Company informs us that they have obtained consultants and environmentalists and that they are working on the list. The message that we are getting from both sides is that this is doable, that negotiations and deals can be made that will satisfy both sides. To us, this is fantastic. It's another first. We are not dealing with a situation anymore where people are butting heads saying we can't do this or we can't do that. Our concern is that the Island Company has had this list for 3 months and the city is waiting for them to respond. It just seems so reactive rather than proactive. I can see that a large city with a developer who wants to do something, you know, the developer would have to get their ducks in a row and come in and say, this is what we want to do, and then we proceed. But Avalon is not some other city. We are unique, and the relationship between the city and the Island Company has always had to be one of cooperation to facilitate anything getting done. So while we know all of you had said in your interviews when running for council that the aquatic center and the community center are a priority, we are not really seeing that. It seems like if it were a priority, then there would be a person on staff designated to hash out this deal on a daily basis with the Island Company. I think there is a way to push this forward faster, and I think that this council can do that if it wants to, and I think that the Island Company is willing to go faster as well. I do not think, as many have suggested, that they will be willing to pull the land out of the pool for the development agreement negotiations. I don't think that they'll say, well, let's do this, and then we'll deal with our development. It's going to be part of it, so it's going to be part of all those projects they want to do. However nice that would be for us, it makes sense for them to do it that way. So that's it. That's where we are. That's what we know. And now everybody knows what we know. And Allison Ozinski, I think, wanted to say something as well.
Thanks, Kathleen. Allison Osinski, 356 Sumner. I'm a member of this booster committee as well. I'd like to see this pool go forward. This project is certainly doable. We've met behind the scenes for the last couple of years. As Kathleen mentioned, the important part is we now have the land. As of last April, the Island Company designated a specific piece of land, approximately 1.1 acres for the pool, 1.1 acres for the community center. We asked for this specific piece of land, and they told us it was part of the deal. The pool committee met immediately within days, went over and took a look at it. The pool committee does have some monies available to start this project. And what we're really asking is that you move forward so we can start working on those preliminary steps. We need to get the geotechnical engineers out there to take a look at this land and do the studies to make sure we actually can build a pool on this piece of land before we move farther with this project. But in addition to having the geotechnical engineers out there, we'd like to get some early design work done, the design program, get some renderings and models and drawings done so that we can go out and start the fundraising that needs to be done in order to make this a reality. What's holding us up? The pool committee is ready to go. We've got geotechnical engineers on a list ready to provide bids. We're ready to get going with these preliminary steps if we can just get you to please meet with the Island Company. We've been asking for 10 months to have a meeting between city representatives, Island Company representatives, and the pool committee. I think if we get those three groups together, we can move this project forward, and we can get that preliminary work that takes about a year and a half to do in the works. So that this is a go, within a couple years, we'll have a designated site, we'll have the plans ready to go. Hopefully by then we'll have some additional funds ready. We'll have some donors. We've talked to several groups already, but we think this is doable. We hope that you will support us in this. And our real priority right now is to please let's meet the three groups together so we can try and work this out and get started. For those of you who aren't familiar with what we've kind of been looking at as a preliminary idea for the project, I did prepare a handout, and it's sitting on the side table. So if you'd like to take that and take a look at what we're kind of seeing as this project, we'd appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
You know, since we lost Jeannie Hill not too long ago, I want to say a few things about her. She spearheaded this pool project, and I believe, 1978, 76, 7, 8, somewhere in there. And Paul McElroy and one of the local doctors and Reverend Bob and a bunch of people and myself, we got together as a committee and went to the city council and did a similar presentation. And the city council at the time said, "What are you doing? We got water issues." And I said, "Well, we can put a water maker in there and we can take salt water and change it into fresh water. You got the biggest pool in the world out there in the harbor, go away." And that was basically the first meeting we had with the city council. This city council is a lot different than that one, because I've been involved on and off in that pool for a lot of years. And I really want to see that done. Kathleen's doing a tremendous job, and she's got a lot of patience, and there's a number of us around that just waiting for the Island Company to commit that property. And once we get that, once you start to dig, then you'll get your donations. People got tired. We had fundraisers for the museum, for the pool a number of times. People just got tired of donating money because they didn't see anything happen. Once you start to dig something, then the money will come in and we'll get our pool. So thank you, Kathleen, for doing what you've been doing, carrying on for Mom. And hopefully by the time you get to be a senior citizen, we'll have that darn pool. Thanks.
We will direct staff to revitalize that conversation with the Island Company. Understand that as of late, that our biggest concerns and issues in dealing with the Island Company has been over water. So we're really focusing on the water, but we will bring that back to their attention. Can you add that to your little hit list there, Ben?
Got it down, Mayor.
Excellent. Anyone else have anything to address the council that's not currently on our agenda? You may now come forward. Jen.
It's Jen.
Hey guys. I just have a couple community announcements. One is that we are still taking youth basketball signups until this Friday without any penalty of late fees. So that's ages 3rd through 8th grade, and they can sign up here at City Hall. And I also wanted to remind the community that the concessionaire contract for the Joe Machado facility will be closing on Thursday at 4 p.m. So any potential bids that would like to be placed for the concessionaire contract should be in to City Hall before that. And then I also wanted to remind the community to come out and support the high school boys soccer team. They're playing the first round of CIF games at home on Thursday at 3:15 at Joe Machado Field. We'll see you out on the field.
Go Lancers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
Jen, it's me. I was attacked by 10 really old guys that like to play horseshoes.
I met with one really old guy that likes to
Yeah,
play
especially
horseshoes today.
Yeah,
And we're moving forward, trying to come up with
they have a spot.
some help. I know. I'm excited about it.
You going to help them?
Well, I'm going to help him.
Good.
It's not our location, but I think the location owner wants to
It'll be
also
okay.
help.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good afternoon. My name is Roland Van Zant, and I'm the project manager for Henkels & McCoy. We're the contractors hired by Edison to do the vault replacement of Metropole, lower Metropole in front of Hotel Metropole. I just wanted to give an update on our progress. Currently, we've been delayed about 4 weeks because of archaeological research and recovery at the site. I'm sure everybody on the island's heard that we've found significant amount of artifacts, and we're just going through the process, the correct process, with our subcontractor, Cogstone, and the Native American community, Gabriel Robles. He's been advising us. So we feel like, we've done as much as we can for them and for the business community around the site. I don't know if you've been down there, but we have signs up and trying to get people from the cruise ships to visit the businesses inside that courtyard. Currently, our estimated completion date now is March 31st, 2014. So we base that on just our current rate and delays and everything we can determine. So that's really what I have.
That's for the lower site?
Yes.
March 31st?
Yes, the upper site, we're hoping that won't be as delayed because of, we've done some prior research to do potholing to see if we can see the same kind of indicators, but we haven't really seen any, but we haven't gone all the way around that vault, so we'll know more once we get up there.
So some way, somehow, it turned out to be a good thing that we started with that one first.
Yes, and I've talked.
So there actually was some wisdom on the council. When you guys were in the back of the room scratching your head, thinking that we were completely out of our mind, we turned out to be right.
Actually,
In spite of ourselves.
actually, we stepped back and said, you know what, they live here, they know, so we'll just do what we're told. And Greg, he was one of the biggest advocates for that, and I think Greg's really supported us during the whole project. He's been really understanding, and he's helped to get other people to understand that we're just trying to do a good job and not do patchwork. We want to make it, right so it'll last for another 50 years. So that's our intention.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for the update.
For the update.
Dennis.
Just real briefly wanted to update you on the Crescent Avenue repairs. As you know, the hole there and the repair to the structure. We were hoping to pour the first half earlier this week. I believe you were notified in the council update. It looks like we're going to pour Thursday, day after tomorrow, and half of it will be done. It's going to have to sit a good week and a half or so before we can allow traffic on it to start the other half. And I don't know, just for your information, the existing rebar, I don't know if a lot of you have seen it there, it's square rebar. And we did some investigating, some Google searching. The best we can see is it was manufactured or the end of that manufacturing of that type of rebar was between 1910 and 1920.
Yep.
So we all know that this channel there is about 100 years old. And so and you got to remember there's a lot more of this on the island. So for that, I just wanted to update you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to.
I have one question, Dennis.
Yes, sir.
When you do the other side, are you going to go under the sidewalk too?
We're going to have to, unfortunately, our investigations show that it's really bad all the way to the wall of the Pancake Cottage.
Okay.
So, and then there's some repairs that have to take place on upstream from there.
So you think that rebar might be a collector's item?
Pardon me?
Sell the rebar on eBay?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Dennis,
Ralph and I might have been around when they were manufacturing this rebar.
are they, once they're completed the project, are there going to be weight limits on traffic going through there, or are we going to open it up again?
We're going to open it up. We are going to, the staff is working on a weight restriction for not just that area, but everything down around the bay.
Okay.
As we all know, our infrastructure is getting old. And so we're working on weight restrictions. At this point in time, I can't give you a limit, but we're going to watch closely what travels over it. Okay?
Thank you, Dennis. Okay, let's adjourn the council meeting for, oh, yeah, one more announcement, Ben?
Right, if we could, Mayor, we've got a couple folks that need to catch the 7:30 boat this evening, so we would respectfully request that we could jump to general business before we go further to take care of item number 6 and item number 8 under the successor agency, if that works for the council.
Okay. Why don't we just adjourn to the successor agency agenda?
Could do that.
We'll just go right to it. We just skip to it.
Let's go right to it.
Okay, and then we can come back and then hit
Yep.
item number 6 and then go to the consent calendar after that.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Okay, so item number 6.
No.
Well, actually, we're going to go first to item number 8, and then we'll go to 7, and,
Okay.
sorry, it's really confusing.
fine.
So,
You're
anyway,
confusing me.
before I confuse anybody any further, let's call forward Mr. Ken Lee, who, for the time being, is our consultant with RSG Incorporated before he moves on to Greener Pastures at LAFCO. Ken has been our dedicated expert serving the successor agency, and he's going to talk to you tonight about our ROPS schedule, which we need to get reviewed and approved prior to March 1st this year. So Ken, please take it away.
Thank you, Ben. Mr. Chairman, members of the successor agency, this is your ROPS number 6. So it's been pretty much close to 3 years since the dissolution of the Avalon Community Improvement Agency. The ROPS for this period is due by March 1st to the State Department of Finance. Your ROPS, as we anticipated, has gotten easier and easier with each successive 6-month period. I just want to call out a few items that were also addressed in the staff report with regard to bond-funded projects. First of all, let me also state a correction in the report. There's a reference to the Lower Terrace Road project. And there's a reference of $250,000. That's actually should be $270,000. So the actual schedule reflects $270,000 to address potential change orders, which I see also on your agenda for tonight, as well as additional other administrative costs related to managing the project. With regard to some of your housing bond funded projects, we are recommending that you maintain a $500,000 funding level for the low and moderate income housing down payment assistance program, as well as maintaining $3.8 million for the Hamilton Pacific ENA. At this point, no funds have been spent on either project or program, so we are requesting that be maintained for the next period. Other than that, the only other thing that I wanted to point out is that one of the things that comes along with getting the quote-unquote golden ticket or finding the completion for the State Department of Finance is you get to start actually being able to repay certain loans. You might recall during the state's last fiscal crisis, they raided redevelopment agencies for the Supplemental Educational Revenue Augmentation Fund. This redevelopment agency at the time actually chose to suspend a $1 million deposit of what was then tax increment funds into your housing fund. And so that's a loan actually that stays on the books. And you get to repay that to the housing authority once you get this finding of completion. There's basically a formula for how much you can repay in each 6-month period. You'll see that probably come back 6 months from now. We don't think there's sufficient revenues at this point to start to repay that fund. But I will also point out that because of some legislation recently, any funds that go into this account, this low and moderate income housing asset fund, they're highly restrictive. And so we're hoping that actually there's going to be some legislation in this year to actually alleviate some of the problems that have come with SB 341. Other than that, we are proposing a successor agency administrative budget of close to $750,000 funded from both statutory administrative cost allowances from property tax revenues, as well as an agreement with the County of Los Angeles that has been on the books for quite some time. Other than that, I'm available for questions, and I will also say that since this is my last meeting with you all, it's been an absolute honor and privilege, not just working with you 5 gentlemen, but also with the staff. You have top-notch staff, and I think you made an excellent hiring decision in terms of bringing Ben Harvey to this team, and it's been a joy working with both him as well as Scott Campbell, Elizabeth Hull, and others from BB&K, and your department heads as well.
Okay. Does any of the council members or audience have a question for Ken?
Thank you, Ken, and good luck.
Ken, thank you very
Good
much for all your hard work and dedication to our city efforts.
Appreciate that.
We'll keep you in the loop as to what transpires after this.
I'll be back as a visitor frequently, so thank you.
Okay,
Wait, we need to make a motion.
Right.
Thank you, Mike.
Adopt a resolution of the City of Avalon as successor agency to the Avalon Community Improvement Agency, approving a draft recognized obligation payment schedule and draft successor agency administrative budget for the 6-month fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2014 and ending December 31st, 2014.
Second.
Call for a vote, please.
Nothing's happening.
I think that this needs to be plugged in.
Plugged in?
Repaired.
All ayes.
Technology. It's just a wonderful thing.
Okay, now my turn. Pardon me for jumping
Yes, sir.
the gun.
Your turn now.
Going to item number 7 on the successor agency agenda, that is warrants in the amount of approximately $93,000.
Anyone care to entertain a motion or have questions about the warrants?
I had my questions answered.
Yes. Questions were answered.
Move the warrants.
I'll second.
Call for a vote, please.
All ayes.
Okay, item number 9, I'm going to ask Mr. Dennis J.H. to come to the podium to provide a staff report on an extension of a contract with Geosoils Incorporated. Mr. J.H.?
Yes, Geosoils is the geotechnical engineer that is overseeing the design of the caissons and the installation of everything. The original contract was only for 3 months. I might have overlooked that and I should have extended it. However, this additional request for monies here is actually included in our original budget. So there should not be any effects to the original budget for Lower Terrace Road. And this is going to be an as-needed basis. We feel it's very important for the geotechnical engineer to be on site. He checks the strength of the concrete as well as the embedment of the caissons into the hard rock, which is necessary. So it's going to be as needed, and as you'll see, it should not exceed the $39,000 unless we have additional problems.
So this number was already in your original bidding?
It was.
Okay, so all you're really asking us to do is extend the contract timeframe.
Correct. I'd like to speak to Scott before he administers that. I think we won't limit it this time. I think that's where we made the mistake the first time.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
I do not. Anyone in the audience have a question on this item? Council? Anyone care to entertain a motion then on item number 9?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion in 2 seconds. Call for a vote, please.
Maybe a second and a third.
All ayes.
That was pretty timely, though.
Okay, going back to the...
Consent calendar?
Well, may we first go to item number 6 under general business?
Get that out of the way.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Try to get the sheriff on the boat as well.
Okay.
Item number 6 under general business, city council, is an extension of the law enforcement agreement with LA County. This is our sheriff contract. I should point out that we don't yet have the rates that we will be asked to pay for the next year. Those are forthcoming. We anticipate that the increase could be as much as, but maybe not as much as 4%. We don't know yet. So I will bring another staff report to you at a subsequent meeting after those numbers have been released so that you can truly see what the costs are. At this point, it's just a projection that we think it could cost in addition to 4% more than what we're currently paying. We have Sergeant Don Thompson here with us this evening to talk about the agreement itself and what the city derives from that. And so if I could call the sergeant to the podium just to speak about what this agreement provides.
Greetings, Mayor and council members. I'm Don Thompson. I work at the Contract Law Enforcement Bureau, which is, we handle all the contracts with all the contracted cities with the county. Right now, there's 42 cities that contract with the Sheriff's Department out of the 88 cities within the county. And obviously, Avalon is one of those cities. On June 30th, the current 5-year municipal law enforcement service agreement expires. And so we're here today to let you review the current 5-year, the new 5-year agreement that's effective July 1st. And just to let you know, there really isn't any changes on the 5-year agreement. It's the same one that we had in prior years, except one minor thing, and that was in the past, whenever there's whenever the city was unhappy with some of the service levels, they would go to the captain, and they can still do that and go to the captain, Doug Federal. However, now it also offers you the opportunity to go above him and speak to his boss, and if you're unhappy with that, you can go all the way up to the sheriff if you're unhappy with the service levels that are provided. So really today, the reason I'm here is not really to talk about the budget, because that's a different issue that comes out in the future, like Ben Harvey mentioned, because the rates are set by the auditor controller, and those rates aren't released yet until probably the end of February or middle of March. And by the time we get that contract available, it'd be probably set for a future date in April or May for that consideration. So we're really here just for the 5-year agreement that you want to continue to have the Sheriff's Department as your law enforcement service to be your police department in the city of Avalon.
Right, very good. So the city managers that make up the contract law cities negotiate directly with the Sheriff's Department to work on the language of that agreement. So it's a group of those folks who interface directly with them to try to make sure that the cities are getting service that's in their interest. We're just simply tonight, if you should desire extending that relationship with the sheriff, and again, we will come back once the numbers have been released to talk about what they are exactly and how that impacts our budget for the following year.
Okay. Any questions, council?
I do. There's a situation in Avalon right now where we've had some heroin usage, some extreme heroin usage. And someone died of an overdose here not too long ago. Now, we know the contract requires a deputy on the street 24/7, plus dispatch, plus the captain, plus the detectives and all that, but actually one person on the street. And then when we kick into the summertime, we usually have those grants where we can bring additional deputies on. Now, in a situation like this where I'm hearing a lot of complaints from people in town about the use of heroin, it's more, I mean, it's always been there, but more so now than people can remember. Now, in a case like that, the Sheriff's Department has a huge narcotics bureau. And I know you can't tell anybody anything of what you're doing, but there is a part of that contract that allows the experts from the drug enforcement arm of the Sheriff's Department to come into Avalon and supplement the deputies that are on duty, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not the one deputy is not going to just walk around trying to figure out where that heroin's coming from, but
No, you have the city people that you pay for, which is 5 deputies, but you have over 22 other support personnel that are on the island, and plus we have, like you said, a whole county full of detectives and experts in the field of whatever they may need to, bring over here as a resource for the city and also Captain Federal and his staff.
back in 1988, the sheriff's, there was complaints from the community about extreme drug usage here. And the sheriff responded by sending people over where they actually did warrants and knocked doors down and drug people to jail and did a lot of things. I don't know if you can do them now, but back then they did. Put the fear of God in a lot of people. And I think what happens is these dealers feel like they're safe here because there's not much going on. And I just want to let everybody know that over my years here, I've made it clear to the public that if there's any issues with somebody you may suspect to be selling drugs or involved in it, you can come to any of us up here in confidence. No one will give anybody your name. And we'll go to the Sheriff's Department. Now, I've had guys come to me shaking in fear, saying if you let my name out, they'll kill me. And I've had that more than once. But I'll tell you one thing, that every time I get a name of somebody who's doing drug dealing, and I've gone to the sheriff and sat down with him in private and said, okay, here's a name. Every case, the sheriff knew who it was. So they may look like, because the number of people that are out there may look like maybe they don't know. They do know. But in order for them to do anything, they've got to build a case, and it takes time. But we're hearing that roar out of the community recently in the last few weeks. There's something going on. And our captain out there is well aware of it. And I just want to make a point that you've responded in the past and solved some problems, and we're asking you to take a good hard look at that now, because we've got complaints here.
I know Captain Federal is aware of it. It's the first thing he talked about when I got off the boat today, so he's well aware of it, and he has a handle on it.
Thank you.
Cool.
Okay. Anyone in the audience care to comment? Okay. I recognize that there are a few things that are coming out in this conversation. We're here to address the law enforcement agreement and the services agreement. Ben enlightened me today as to how the 4% increase is played in this whole thing, and I know that operationally there's some things that Ben will address your organization about operationally, and that would include probably some of Councilman Morrow's concerns. Any other questions in regards to the law enforcement contract? Anyone care to entertain a motion on the contract before us?
I'll make the motion. Authorize the mayor to execute the municipal law enforcement services agreement with Los Angeles County on behalf of the city of Avalon.
I'll second.
Call for a vote, please.
All ayes.
They'll make the vote.
You made your vote. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, jumping back now to the consent calendar. You have 5 items on your consent calendar this evening, including actions from the February 4th meeting, expenditures in the amount of approximately $600,000, a reciprocal agreement with the Long Beach Unified School District for facility use, an encroachment permit, and a contract for Yellow Jacket control.
Okay, there's 5 items on our consent calendar. Would any member of the audience care to discuss any of the 5 items that are before us?
Good evening. My name is Paul Reed, 156 Middle Terrace. Mayor Kennedy, members of the council, it's always a pleasure to come home. I wanted to assure you my item is the encroachment permit. I didn't know I needed an encroachment permit, and I certainly have no objection to the action that before you to deny the encroachment permit. There are flower boxes in the road. I assure you they have been there longer than I have been alive. And Middle Terrace was a dirt road when they first went in. Cars are a bit bigger now. I do not argue whatsoever with the staff recommendation. I wanted to go on record and say that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, how odd is that?
You might be running for office.
I came to the same conclusion today, too, when I went out there and looked.
Anyone else care to comment on an item that's on our consent calendar? Council, any questions on consent calendar items? Anyone care to entertain a motion on consent?
I make a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Second.
Call for a vote, please.
All ayes.
Hospital.
Okay, let's move to the hospital board of. It's all yours.
Roll call, Denise.
Trustee Hernandez.
Here.
Trustee Kennedy.
Here.
Trustee Olson.
Here.
Trustee Morrow.
Here.
Chairman Ponce.
Here. Any announcements?
None.
Written communications?
None?
None. Presentations? None. Anyone wishing to speak in regards to the hospital that is not on the agenda? Seeing no mass run up to the podium. Consent calendar?
Yes, there are 2 items on the consent calendar. Board of Trustees actions from the December 17th, 2013 meeting, and the CEO's report and the CFO's report dated January 2014 and December 2013, respectively.
Anyone wishing to pull an item or discuss an item? Nope. Can I get a motion?
Move staff on 1 and 2.
Second.
Call for a vote.
All ayes.
General business, we have none. Chair's report. March 2nd, Sunday, Oscar night. It's a fundraiser for the hospital and foundation at the casino building. It's a great event. Contact someone with the foundation or contact the hospital and they can tell you who you can get tickets from. But it's a great, great event. That's my report. Anyone else?
Good job.
Then we're adjourned.
All right. You want to give us your budget planning update? Because we didn't discuss that. And your like little announcements trend.
Perhaps we could make that announcement after our closed session. I don't know if I am completely remembering the train of our conversation from earlier today.
Well, just kind of share with the public why we're not here doing budget review.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we are tonight going to be going into closed session, and that is for the purpose of receiving an update from our financial consultant who has been with the city for approximately 1 year. So it is prudent and appropriate right now for that consultant to report back to the council on the accomplishments that have been made and on her findings to date. We will be presenting the mid-year budget update at the March 18th, 2014 meeting. That's a date that will stick. And so at that time, we will be able to discuss expenditures and revenues and where the deficit stands.
So when you say that's the date we're going to stick to, so we can hold some feet to the fire on that March
Yes.
date?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Do you have anything else to report before we go to closed session?
If we're not going to go to, do you want to go to the city manager's report? Is that where you're headed next,
Yeah, that's
Mayor?
where I'm
Okay,
headed.
very good. I would like to just follow up to what you had mentioned earlier about the work out at Hamilton Cove this weekend. In addition to yourself being out there was also Denise Ratty. We had Pastor Lopez, Jeffrey Hernandez, Mr. Jayich, and then from Environ we had David Clary and Cliff Castanova and Armando de Loria, all out there working along with the maintenance staff literally through the night. So it just was a real team effort to try to turn things around over there, and we really appreciate all that work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott?
Nothing to report tonight. Well, I just have a question on that. Is it working out there now?
No.
No. Okay.
Hamilton Cove, first of all, as the mayor pointed out earlier, it is private sewer infrastructure. They have contracted with an engineering, construction and project management firm, Jameson, that is on the island, and they are working closely with Dennis Jayich on a solution, and it could be a number of different possibilities, maybe a short term and then a long term, that is in motion right now. And of course, the goal is to get them up and running as soon as possible, but with public health in mind.
Scott?
I have nothing tonight.
Rich?
Nope.
Michael? Nope. Bully?
In addition to the baseball clinic on Saturday, there's the harbor cleanup on Saturday in the morning for getting our harbor nice and clean.
There you go. So we hit the beaches and support the trash coming out of our bay.
Yeah. Buy a T-shirt.
Ralph, anything?
Yeah. Trying to think.
I'll come back to you if you want.
Yeah, come back to me.
Brew on it for a minute. Cindy, did you have something?
Cindy McGugan Cassidy, 177 Lower Terrace. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit belated here. I wasn't actually going to say something, but I feel compelled to. With regard to the budget discussions that we had anticipated having tonight, I'm going to go out on a limb and to say that I'm incredibly bummed out that those conversations aren't happening tonight. There was a lot of things brought forward at the last council meeting, and there was a lot of concerns that were brought forward, and there's a tremendous amount of constituents in the community that were really hoping for at least some more discussion, some fleshing out of some of the things that were brought to the podium before. So I'd also like to remind you, Ben, and the city and the council that there's a lot at stake here, and we really need to take into consideration that we've got workers out there that are, in fear and unsurety as to what's going to happen with potentially pay, benefits, and with not really having a clear understanding of where we are in our budget, perpetuates the situation for those in the community that are very concerned. In addition to that, as the human resource assets to the city, we need them at their full capacity right now. We need them feeling good about the jobs that they're doing. And so I am going to hold you to that date in March. And I would also like to hold you to something else that was said that night, which was to respond to some of the things that Steve Hafes brought to the podium. So that's all. Thanks.
Thanks, Cindy. Ralph?
I'm okay.
You're okay? Okay. I'm going to take it on to a brighter note. Water. Ben and I got together and scratched our heads as to how we can address the needs of the community as it relates to water. As many of you may or may not know, the Santa Catalina Island Company has agreed to put in a well that Edison claims will solve our community water needs for some time. And it's been apparent to me that there's not maybe a willingness, with Edison being the water purveyor on the island and also being in the position where they're selling this utility, they may not have the desire to be the moving force that they once were in being proactive in handling some of our community needs. So Ben authored a letter that went off early this week to the president of Edison. We're also going to include the proposed buyer in this conversation to see what we can do to help expedite the permitting process. Edison claims that it's roughly an 18-month process from the desire of drilling a well to where you can be permitted to have it access water for our community. I think that's something that's, been needed in our community for quite some time. We want to be that facilitating body to kind of expedite this process. So that's now well underway. Let's, get out underneath this Phase 2 water rationing and move Avalon forward. So that process will continue. Okay, we have a closed session item this evening.
Yes, we have public employee performance evaluation, the interim chief financial officer.
Okay, we will return. Good night, Tony. Okay, we've returned from closed session. Ben?
Yes, Mayor. So I just wanted to share with council and the community some of the things discussed with the interim chief financial officer about the city's financial status. One of the items discussed was the accomplishments that have taken place in the finance department year to date. I'm just going to go through some things that have occurred. The fiscal year 11 audit is complete. The fiscal year 12 audit is near complete. In fact, it's just requiring at this point Cindy being our interim financial officer, her review. The fiscal year 14 accounting is complete and in the system. It's not in need of a few adjustments, but the totality is fairly accurate. The fiscal year 13 audit will likely start in April, and some of the concerns about office, the physical disarray of boxes and so forth in the office and things not where they should be has all been addressed, and that's under good management. As far as the budget is concerned, and again, we are shooting for the mid-year update at the March 18th meeting, but the revenue trends appear to be positive, and they're at or near our fiscal year 13-14 budget projections. The general and government funds are largely healthy. However, with that said, one of the findings from the financial officer is that the spending needs to be better monitored, including monthly reports being generated and reviewed and actions taken. The city's Prop 218 funds, those being the sewer and saltwater, are underfunded and will continue to drain the general fund unless funding mechanisms are installed. In addition, expenditures need to be brought down. It is recommended that the city pursue a cost of service study to look at the Prop 218 funds. It is something that we have budgeted for in this budget, and it's anticipated it would cost around $25,000. So again, we are going to be presenting the mid-year update at the 18th meeting, but that is what came out of the closed session that we just had now.
Super. Thank you very much, Ben. We are adjourned.